What's up, guys? Maverick from Maverick PC Gaming here, coming to you this morning um, as a follow-up to a video that I did on the 29th of October, and it was entitled Can a Linux Gaming Platform Replace Windows?" And since then, I've got a considerable amount of views on it, more than I suspected actually, and and that's not surprising to me because I know that as far as the tags go, as soon as Linux and gaming are put together, anyone who tries or attempts to game on Linux or who's interested in using both platforms is immediately going to look at the video and see what it's in reference to. Um, the very first comment that I got was from a guy who, he approached me very diplomatically, and told me that there was a lot of things that I said that bothered him and this and that. Look, I understand if things bother you because you get offended that I am saying something about the platform that you use primarily, and that's fine. If you look at the rest of the videos on my channel and look at my other Linux videos, a lot of videos that I recorded directly from my Linux desktop, you'll see that I don't bash Linux. Okay, I don't bash Ubuntu, I don't bash Mint, Elementary, Fedora. Look, we have to face facts, okay? That video was completely in reference to and purely only to gaming, period. I didn't say anything about the fucking operating system. I didn't say anything about video editing or internet browsing or security. I didn't say anything about any of those parts of the operating system, okay? What I was making reference to purely was if you were to install a fresh distro of Ubuntu and attempt to, like, for instance, look at my desktop, all right? This is my main desktop and these are my games. Now, anyone who's a true Linux user, Ubuntu, and doesn't boot Windows at all knows for a fact that if you were to attempt to find a way right now to play, for instance, Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4, Battlefield Hardline, BioShock Infinite has ported to Ubuntu, or Linux rather, okay? Black Ops 3, Just Cause 3, Titanfall. If you were to try Garden Warfare, look, Fallout 4, Evolve. If you were to attempt to play these games on Ubuntu, 14.04 LTS or otherwise, you're not going to get a good end result, period. Okay, and when you go to these little conferences that they have for KDE, for Ubuntu, for GNOME, for whatever it is that the Linux crew gets together and does, even the most die-hard, I've been using Debian since 1995 face person will tell you that they always keep a Windows partition because they want to play the latest games. And it's not because I'm bashing Linux, guys. It's because I'm telling the fucking truth. And if that bothers you, well, oh well. I don't fucking care. Because that's the biggest problem with people nowadays, is that the truth bothers them. They don't want to look at what's real. I used to be a die-hard Ubuntu user from Ubuntu 7.10 and on. Okay, entirely throughout the Windows Vista era. But Windows 7 came out, I saw the light, and I said, look, I want my system to work. I don't want to have to constantly tinker with things to try to get things like dual monitors to work properly, or my sound, or anything. I just got tired of having an operating system that was if I updated it, I had to be worried about it no longer being stable. And if that bothers anyone, well, grow up, okay? Because one video about telling the truth about why that operating system is not on par with Windows, if that bothers you, well, then maybe you should reevaluate the way that you compute. Because you know what? My wife bought me a brand new laptop for Christmas and gave it to me early, and guess what? It's running Windows in a virtual machine. And that's just in case I would need Windows for whatever reason. But other than that, it is purely Ubuntu. And I don't ever sit there on my laptop and say, oh, man, if I had Windows, no, I don't do that because I'm not talking about every other aspect of computing. I'm talking about purely gaming. Okay? And if you guys look carefully through the comments of that video that I went ahead and produced, you'll see that there are guys who even admitted themselves that they got tired of waiting for games to port and then people acting like it was new, or they got tired of games just not working properly. And if that offends you, then don't watch. But you know what, guys? I'm the first one to sit there and tell you that Windows has its defects, OS 10 has its defects. This is computing. It's always been that way, guys, for the last 50 years. Operating systems have their issues. Ubuntu is, for whatever reason, not on par with gaming, nor is any Linux distro. You have to use Wine or a front end of Wine like Play on Linux, and I know that. I'm not disputing that. It's not about bashing, it's about telling the truth. And that's one of the problem with you Linux fanboys, okay? And I'm not being a Windows fanboy because I use a variety of platforms. I use Windows 10 mostly on my desktop, my main rig that I built. I use Ubuntu purely on my laptop. Okay, I use a combination of Windows 10 and Ubuntu Touch Desktop Next on my Lenovo tablet, and I have an Android phone, which everyone knows is a variation of Linux too. So no one can accuse me of being a fanboy because I'm telling the truth. But you know what, guys? Get a grip. Okay, if you are a pure Linux user and you're a diehard gamer, then and if you sit there and try to convince the world that you've played every game that you've ever wanted to play and the latest AAA titles without an issue on a Linux distro, then you're a fucking bold-faced liar. You're a liar. You know you're lying because Linux has not wrapped their minds around the DirectX issue yet, which is why you cannot play Battlefield and Titanfall and Black Ops 3 and Just Cause 3. You can't. You just can't. Unless you're running Windows on a virtual machine or on a dual boot partition, you cannot. And if that offends anyone, well, talk to the Linux community, the developers. Don't talk to me. I'm just telling the truth. And guys, there's a lot of people who don't like the truth, but I'm not going to stop telling it because you don't like it. I work on multiple platforms and I am absolutely in love with multiple Linux distros, but that does not mean that I'm going to sit there and lie and say that they can and cannot do things that they can and cannot do. Okay? I'm Maverick from Maverick PC Gaming. As always, leave your comments below, and I'll see you guys out there.